there, subscribe to this channel.
And we're back.
What is up, guys? This is the Zeus Tuber, and today I'm here with Enrique CTV and at Jude Films It on Twitter, or Julian, you can call him whatever you want. And we're back with episode 2 of 3 Idiots Discuss. And today our topics are...
We're talking about who should be cast as Ezekiel and the upcoming interesting topics of season 7. So
no more Negan discussion.
No more Negan discussion. No more cliffhanger. We're done with that. Going on to new and better fields, pastures.
Better fields.
Greener pastures.
Greener pastures. I like that idea.
There we go. Okay.
So start us off with the casting of Ezekiel. What do you think it should be? I think we all agree on the same
person. I think I'm almost positive we all agree on this because you even made a video on it.
Dave Fenoy.
Hashtag Dave Fenoy for Ezekiel. Symbolism. Because. But no, yeah, I definitely think it should be him because, I mean, you don't need to worry about makeup or like costuming or almost anything because he's already Ezekiel.
I don't think the concern is what he would look like, but I mean it's like he was born to play the role. Yeah. So they have no excuse.
I mean he also has many years of experience.
Also, stop for a second. I didn't see what was on, so I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's got so many years of experience with voice acting and regular acting, So it's kind of like a no-brainer to go for him, especially with a lot of people saying that he should do it. I know Up at Noon it's a show that Greg Miller used to run. That he was like hashtag Dave Fenoy for Walking Dead because obviously he did the character of Lee in Walking Dead Telltale games.
Yes. Dave would definitely do it too. I made that thumbnail a couple years ago, and he saw it and he posted it on his Facebook page. And he's like, "We'll see what happens."
So hopefully we're gonna see what happens.
And another thing I want to point out: a lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's primarily a voice actor, so it wouldn't work." But let me point out, Stephen Ogg, also not to go really back to the finale, he did a fantastic job on the show, and he did a fantastic job in Better Call Saul as well. So I think the fact that if you ever saw like behind the scenes of the Telltale game of The Walking Dead, they recorded him doing his lines and you could see the emotion he went through, so I don't think it would really be an acting challenge for him. Obviously, voice role aside, I think he'd do a great job at it. So hashtag Dave Fenoy. Dave Fenoy for Ezekiel.
Let's do it.
Ezekiel leads into the kingdom.
Alright, you guys know more about the kingdom than I do, so you guys can...
He's technically King Ezekiel.
Ezekiel.
With a pet tiger named Shiva, which, it's gonna happen. It's gotta happen. Because the Walking Dead's account on Instagram posted a picture from the comics with Ezekiel standing next to Shiva, and it was like, I forget, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, you don't worry guys, we'll definitely see them in season 7, and then like a couple minutes later they changed the comment to something else. I don't know, we're gonna see them, that's the point.
Yeah, I think that the biggest concern right now, even though it shouldn't be, is I think, if I'm not mistaken, The Walking Dead has the highest budget per episode on TV right now.
Probably Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's probably.
But that's premium though.
Yeah, that is premium. So you have, I think, Walking Dead is, last I heard was $2 million. I could be wrong with that, but I think a lot of people are concerned because Shiva, they want a real animal, but obviously, like I'm sure they can use a real tiger for some shots, but not for all of them because it's a real tiger and people could get killed, and I think that's what people are worried about. But another thing is, I think people are worried about if they use CGI, and they're worried about how Shiva could look, which is a legitimate concern. Yeah, but with their budget, I think they can pull it off.
You're right, but like you also have to think about like the fact that they can't put their entire budget in Shiva.
Yeah, Nick and Terrell will probably do a puppet for some shots. Maybe like when it's like attacking a walker.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Game of Thrones, when I shared that video, when it had that puppet, like the one that looked like a tiger, that turned into like a dragon. So I think, special effects would cost a lot of money, but I think The Walking Dead has enough.
If they space out their budget accordingly, like if they want to have an episode that strongly features Shiva, they're probably not going to do a lot in terms of walkers, or like, at least like CGI walkers or explosions or even muzzle flash, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like I mean, The Walking Dead's CGI, if you look back on it, it's not great.
It's gotten better.
Like, it's gotten better, but it's never been really great. So that's like my one thing. It's like,
yeah, like the explosion at the end of season 1, but that was because that's the first thing I thought of.
The first thing you think of is that, but like, it's just kind of like my thinking for it is you don't want to put like the CGI into it and just ruin it.
Right.
So it's really like they're gonna have to kind of like not show much, like, or focus on like certain.
Yeah, like I said, I think they have to use a real tiger for some shots. Obviously, the actors probably can't be anywhere near the tiger.
Yeah, exactly.
They could just film a real tiger on a green screen and then put it in.
That's true. They know way more about that stuff than we do.
I think they can pull it off.
Like you were saying, spacing out the budget. I just think, obviously, Shiva's not going to be in every single episode, so that's not my concern.
Yeah.
So I think the main worry is make her look realistic and just do her justice. I think that's the main concern, basically. As long as she's in there, because if they're like, no, we're not even going to bother. Like, I'd rather have a half-assed Shiva than no Shiva at all. Like, I know how that sounds, but I mean, I want to see it. Like, it's a great aspect of the comic, so I'd love to see that in the show.
Onto the season 7 Comic-Con trailer. That is going to be pretty big. What are your concerns for it?
Okay, I mentioned this got cut out of the last video. I just wanted to point out the fact that the season 7 Comic-Con trailer can't feature a lot of the characters in the lineup, and you pointed this out last time too. The season 7 Comic-Con trailer can't bring out a lot of the characters because they're all in Negan's lineup, like the important ones to say. So what I think is the trailer has to show a lot of Carol and Morgan. Probably going to show Shiva if she is in the show. Let's hope to God that Shiva is in the show.
Kingdom.
And we all know Rick and Carl are not going to die. Obviously, Negan's going to be in it. And Alec was saying that it would be interesting if they did the lineup scene over again, and then it narrowed it down a little bit, which I think would be interesting. But I think if they run the risk of narrowing it down at all, people are going to be like, oh, it was Glenn or Abraham. And we all know who we think it's going to be, but
it would be a smart move on their part. There's a lot of concern that it's going to be a smaller character, such as Aaron or even Eugene at this point, or at least Rosita, one that wouldn't have as big of an impact, per se. So I think it'd be a smart marketing move for them to just get rid of all that fear from the fans and to help, some people who need to know a little bit so they don't go crazy. Just to maybe we show scenes where we show that maybe Aaron lives, or Rosita lives, or Eugene, and then narrow it down a little bit to kind of hype up, like, oh my gosh, wait, now it's between Michonne, Daryl, Glenn, and Abraham, for example, and we don't show any of them in the trailer. And plus, they can still show a lot of the Hilltop and Alexandria.
Also, I just wanted to say one thing. I think it was Hilltop that posted this on Twitter, and I cannot agree more. They said, if Shiva's going to be in the Season 7 Comic-Con trailer, a lot of the people who were pissed off about how Season 6 ended are no longer going to be pissed off. Yeah. And I said, that's true. Like, they'll still probably be upset.
Y'all get over it.
But when you see a tiger on The Walking Dead, you're going to be like, yo, that looks sick. It's like regardless of how much you like the show, you're going to be like, that's dope.
Yeah. If we see Ezekiel with Shiva, too.
Now, yeah.
If we see Dave
Benoit with Shiva, the hype would be...
Hashtag Dave Benoit for...
Hashtag Dave Benoit.
But what I was going to... Oh, they're going. What I was going to say is actually, I think opposite of that. Because I'd rather not have them try to narrow it down at all. And just focus on all the external things that are going to happen. Like, focus on Negan and Kingdom and Hilltop, like what's going on there. And kind of leave, like, Alexandria and everybody else kind of in the dark. Because, I mean, it's just going to stir up, like you said, it's going to give people a little more to go off of. But at the same time, it's just going to stir up more confusion with some people.
Also,
but we'll see.
They do, in every single one of their trailers, they basically come out and lie to us about what's actually going to happen.
That's
so true. For all we know, they could film a couple fake scenes of all of the characters and throw them in there just to mess with us so we don't know. Or Nicotero said we could use some clever flashbacks to maybe show, and I'm just thinking here, he didn't say this next part, but maybe they show maybe what happened with Daryl Michonne, Glenn, and Rosita when they got kidnapped. Maybe show Negan's compound.
That's a great idea. I'm sure they'll implement that in some way, because at the point when they were kidnapped and when they got out of the van, we don't know we know what happens, but we don't know exactly what happens, so they can show whatever they want. They just have to do it right. They have to do...
Yeah,
it's a difficult thing to do, especially even if you're a good showrunner. It's hard to do. It's hard to do.
But if you think about it, if they open up season 7 with that,
that's
like they're opening with Lucille. They said they would open with that scene.
But the whole thing is the Comic-Con trailer.
Yeah, with the Comic-Con trailer, that would be interesting. But
if it's not going to be in the show,
there's not going to. Yeah, exactly. If it's not going to be in the show, there's no point in teasing that. Especially if it's like, oh, we're coming back. It's like this is going to happen.
Yeah.